Okay, welcome back in. I'm now going to be reviewing all of Sunday's action from the NHL. There were a total of 7 games, so therefore 14 teams were duking it out for 2 points, starting with the Battle of New York as the Islanders went into to face off against their city rival in the New York Rangers. Alrighty, so let's take a look and see how this game went. So in the first period, Bo Horvat would kick things off with a short-handed goal with just under 6 minutes to go in the period. For Horvat, that'd be his 28th goal of the season, assisted by Brock Nelson. After 20 minutes of play, the away team had the advantage. In the second period, Zibanejad would tie the game up 27 seconds in that frame. For Zibanejad, that'd be his 22nd goal of the year, assisted by Roslovic. Cooley would give the Rangers a 2-1 lead over halfway through that period. For Cooley, that'd be his 12th of the season from Lindgren and Adam Fox. Bo Horvat would tie the game up with just over 6 minutes to go in the period. For Horvat, that'd be his second goal of the game, his 29th of the season from Nelson and Mike Riley. Brodzinski would break the tie with about 5 minutes remaining in the period. For Brodzinski, that'd be his fifth goal of the year, assisted by Miller and Wenberg. After 40 minutes of play, the Rangers had a 3-2 lead. In the third period, Kako would increase the lead to 4-2, getting his 10th of the season from Gustafsson and Jones, 2 minutes and 36 seconds into the frame. Lafreniere would increase lead to 5-2, getting his 19th of the season from Panarin and Miller, and that goal happened with 9 minutes and 18 seconds to go on the clock. So the Rangers made very quick work of the Islanders, finishing them off 5-2. So with the victory, the Rangers are still sitting in first place of that Metropolitan Division with a record of 45-19-4. And as for the loss, the Islanders are 29, 23, and 15. But don't worry, Islanders fans, you're only a couple of points away from making it back into a playoff position. So I wouldn't really worry too much, especially since you still have over 10 games remaining on the schedule. Alrighty, the next matchup took place in Las Vegas. We had the Golden Knights playing against the New Jersey Devils. All right, let's take a look and see how this game went. So it's hard to believe there was no scoring in the first 2 periods. In the third period, just 38 seconds into that frame, the captain Hischier would kick things off for the Devils, getting his 22nd goal of the season. Carrier would tie the game up roughly 3 minutes into that frame. For Carrier, that'd be his 6th goal of the year from Pietrangelo and Noah Hannafin. Jack Eichel would break the tie with just under 9 minutes to go in the period. For Eichel, that'll be his 21st goal of the season, assisted by Noah Hannafin. William Karlsson would get a late goal, just 19 seconds remaining on the clock. For Karlsson, that'd be his 24th goal of the year from Stevenson and Shea Theodore. So all 4 goals were scored in the third period. 3-1 would be the final score in favor of the Vegas Golden Knights. So with the victory, the Golden Knights are 36-24-7. They currently have the number 2 wildcard spot locked down. As for the New Jersey Devils, 32-32-4 is where we stand at the end of this one. Again, a very disappointing season for this team that had such high hopes coming into the start of the year. Alrighty, the next matchup took place between the Winnipeg Jets and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Alrighty, let's take a look and see how this game went. There we go. So in the first period, Kyle Connor would kick things off just 1 minute 26 seconds into the frame. For Connor, that'd be his 29th goal of the season from Scheifele and DeMello. In the second period, Ehlers would get his 20th goal of the year from Toffoli and Sean Monahan. All 3 of those guys seem to have a lot of chemistry and they're playing very well together. So they're a very good team to say the least. So for Ehlers, his 20th of the season, like I said, from Toffoli and Monahan, 1 minute 10 seconds at the frame. For Toffoli, he would then strike, getting his 29th of the season from Ehlers and Monahan. So those guys all had 2 points respectively at that point in the game, making it 3-0 in favor of the Jets. Logan Stanley would finally get his first goal of the season exactly 12 minutes into the frame, so 8 minutes remaining on the clock, making it 4-0 in favor of the Winnipeg Jets. Now Namestnikov would increase lead to 5-0, getting his 9th of the season from Barron and Pionk, and that goal happened with 1 minute and 36 seconds to go on the clock. So after 40 minutes of play, the Jets had a 5-0 lead. Gauntz would finally get the Blue Jackets on board 39 seconds into the frame, getting his 2nd of the season from Christensen and Olivier. Tyler Toffoli would get his 30th goal of the season, his 2nd of the game, with 2 minutes and 26 seconds to go on the clock. So 6-1 would be the final score in favor of the Jets. So with the victory, the Jets are sitting 43-19-5. They are currently sitting first in that very crowded Central Division, as both the Stars and the Avalanche have the same amount of points. So it's anyone's division at this point in the season. As for the Columbus Blue Jackets, 23-34-11 is where we stand at the end of this matchup. Alrighty, the next match took place in Chicago, I do believe. And they took on the San Jose Sharks. Alrighty. Let's take a look and see how this game went. So in the first, Ryan Carpenter would get his 5th goal of the year, opening up the scoring for the San Jose Sharks. For Carpenter, that would be his 5th goal of the season from Barbanov and Kevin Labanc. Klim Kostin would increase the lead to 2-0 for the Sharks, getting his 5th goal of the year from Granlund and Ferraro, and that goal happened with 3 minutes and 28 seconds to go on the clock. So the Sharks had a 2-0 lead heading into the second period. Kurashev would cut the deficit in half, getting the Blackhawks their first goal of the game. For Kurashev, that would be his 14th of this season from Tyler Johnson and Connor Bedard, and that goal happened with 5 minutes and 58 seconds to go on the clock. In the third period, Donato would tie the game up at 2. For Donato, that would be his 10th of the year from Tenorti and Magna, and that goal happened with 9 minutes and 21 seconds to go on the clock. A minute and 12 seconds after that, Koronchinsky would break the tie, making it 3-2. For Koronchinsky, that would be his 4th goal of the year, assisted by Reichel. Joey Anderson would increase the lead to 4-2 just 11 seconds after that. For Anderson, that would be his 3rd goal of the year, assisted by Blackwell and Vlasic. Bedard would score a very late goal, just a second remaining on the clock. For Bedard, that would be his 21st goal of the season from Kurashev and Tyler Johnson, making it 5-2, and that's where we stand at the end of regulation. So with the win, the Blackhawks are 19-44-5, and with the loss, the Sharks are 16-44-7. Alrighty, let's take a look and see what matchup took place next, as we have the Carolina Hurricanes, and they are playing in back-to-back. After playing the Leafs on Saturday, they went into Ottawa to take on the Senators. Okay, I'll get those teams up on the screen, and we'll take a look at the game review from this matchup. Alrighty, so in the first, Dmitry Orlov would kick things off for the Carolina Hurricanes. For Orlov, that'd be his 4th goal of the year from Lemieux and Nichus. Shabbat would tie the game up, 6 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock remaining. For Shabbat, that'd be his 7th goal of the year from Kachuk and Kelly. So that it was all tied up at 1 after 20 minutes of play. Kuznetsov would break the tie in the second, getting a power play goal 2 minutes and 3 seconds into the frame. For Kuznetsov, that'd be his 8th of the season from Shea and Orlov. Tim Stützle would tie the game up 4 minutes and 51 seconds into the frame. For Stützle, that'd be his 17th goal of the year from Shabbat and Claude Giroux. Seth Jarvis would get a late goal, just 22 seconds remaining on the clock. For Jarvis, that'd be his 23rd goal of the year from Aho and Gensel, and making the tie at 3-2. In the third period, Chatfield would increase the lead to 4-2, getting his 7th of the year from Aho and Orlov, 4 minutes and 41 seconds on the clock. Dmitry Orlov would get his 2nd goal of the game, his 5th of the year from Sveshnikov and Kuznetsov, 7 minutes and 14 seconds in the third period. Jake Gensel would get his 23rd goal of the year, assist by Aho and Chatfield, increasing the lead to 6-2, 8 minutes and 52 seconds in the period. And with 6 minutes and 53 seconds to go, Brandon Lemieux would increase the lead to 7-2, getting his 3rd goal of the year from Burns and Jacob Slavin. So 7-2 would be the final score in favor of the Hurricanes, who are sitting at 42-20-6, still sitting second in that Metropolitan Division, as the Ottawa Senators 28-34-4 is where they stand at the end of this matchup. Alrighty, I think there's only 2 more games to review. The first one of the 2 took place in Pittsburgh, as we have the Penguins, who are still fighting for a playoff spot, taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Alrighty. Let's take a look and see how this game went. So in the first, Riley Smith would give the Pittsburgh Penguins a 1-0 lead just over halfway through that period. For Smith, that'd be his 12th goal of the year from Pettersson and Erik Karlsson. Raymond would tie the game up at 1 with 4 minutes and 21 seconds to go. For Raymond, that'd be his 21st goal of the year from Perron and Sherratt, I should say. Sidney Crosby would give the Penguins a 2-1 lead with 1 minute and 7 seconds to go on the clock. For Crosby, that would be his 33rd goal of the year. Hard to believe he's still putting up this amount of goals this late in his career. Puustinen would then increase the lead to 3-1, getting his 4th of the year from Smith and Lars Eller, and that goal happened with 44 seconds to go on the clock. So after 20 minutes of play, the Penguins had a 3-1 lead, I should say. In the second period, Bunting would increase the lead to 4-1, 9 minutes and 34 seconds into that frame. For Bunting, that would be his 15th goal of the season from Puustinen and Evgeny Malkin. Fisher would cut the deficit in half to 4-2, getting his 4th of the season from Rasmussen and Jeff Petrie, and that goal happened with 2 minutes and 25 seconds to go on the clock. Lars Eller would increase the lead to 5-2, getting his 14th goal of the year from Crosby and Chris Letang, a power play goal with 21 seconds to go on the clock. So the Penguins had a 5-2 lead heading into the third period. Raymond would get his 2nd goal of the game late in that third period, his 22nd of the season from Patrick Kane and Shane Gothenburg, and that goal happened with 3 minutes and 23 seconds to go on the clock. Drew O'Connor would get a late goal for the Penguins, doubling up the lead to 6-3. For O'Connor, that would be his 10th of the season from Rust and Graves. So 6-3 would be the final score in favor of the Penguins. So with the win, Pittsburgh sitting at 30-28-9, again still chasing a wild card spot, and the Detroit Red Wings are 34-28-6. And before I move on to the last game, I just want to check one quick thing. So for the Red Wings, as of now, they are currently back in a wild card position. They're just a point above the Capitals and the Islanders, so it's going to be a very close race, to say the least, to see who finishes a playoff spot. Alrighty, the last matchup took place in St. Louis, where you had the Blues. They were taking on the Anaheim Ducks. Alrighty, let's take a look and see how this one went. So in the first period, Troy Terry would open up the scoring with 6 minutes and 19 seconds to go. For Terry, that'd be his 18th of the year from Mintyukov and Lacombe. Kevin Hayes would score in the second period, which is over 5 minutes remaining on the clock. For Hayes, that would be his 13th of the season from Krug and Bolduc. After 40 minutes of play, it was all tied up at 1. In the third period, Rob Thomas would give the Blues a 2-1 lead, 1 minute and 53 seconds into the frame. For Thomas, that'd be his 22nd goal of the year from Buchnevich and Justin Falk. Jake Neighbors would increase the lead to 3-1, I should say. For Neighbors, that'd be his 22nd goal of the year from Shen and Pavel Buchnevich. And that goes a power play goal, 6 minutes and 12 seconds in the period. Robert Thomas would get his 2nd goal of the game, his 23rd of the year from Buchnevich and Justin Falk, a power play goal, 9 minutes and 33 seconds in the period. With just under 10 seconds to go, 8 seconds to be exact, Troy Terry would cut the deficit to 4-2, getting his 2nd goal of the game, his 19th of the season from Killorn and Karlsson. But unfortunately, it was too little too late at that point to mount a comeback for the Ducks. So with the victory, the Blues are 36-29-3, and with the loss, the Ducks are 23-42-3. So before I let you go, I want to check the standings on the western side and see where the Blues are at when it comes to the standings. So the Blues are only 4 points back of Vegas for that final wildcard spot. So again, you can't count the Blues out. They still have 14 games to go. Vegas has 15 games to go, so technically Vegas has a game in hand. But man, oh man, could the Blues ever make things interesting down the stretch of this season. Alrighty, as always, if you're new to this channel and like this type of content, please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. Until next time, take care.